Hey guys, what's up? My name is Cesar Escajeda, and again, I'm one of the Gear Up tutors for Indian Ridge Middle School. Last video you might have checked out was my Montana State video, so if you were interested in that, you definitely came to the right place. This video is going to go a little further in depth on that school, more specifically with some further characteristics of the school, advantages and disadvantages of going. I'm doing this video to hopefully give you guys some perspectives if you are indeed considering the school as an option. So hopefully it helps out a little bit. So let's get started. So a bit of a recap on Montana State. The school is located in Bozeman, Montana, and began back in 1893. It's a public university, a 4-year program, and has about 51 different undergraduate programs to offer. The acceptance rate sits at about 83%, and the tuition falls at around $7,200 for in-state and $25,000 for out-of-state students. Ethnically, the school is mostly composed of white students with an 83.8% rate, with the remaining numbers being 4.1% Hispanic, 3.3% international, and around 1% each or less for Native Americans, Asians, and African American students. The gender ratio is closer at 55.1% male and 44.9% female, and the student to faculty ratio is about 19 students for every professor. Both online and upfront learning is available at Montana State, and they do accept both resident and commuter students. The 6-year graduation rate is about 48.9%, and the top degree offered would be that of engineering. It's a solid school with a lot to learn about, so let's start with the advantages. The advantages that I ascertained from the school were pretty numerous. There's a lot to like about Montana State in all actuality. The fact that it's a public university is number one. So many people might see that as a drop in the quality of education, but I don't agree. Education is education no matter what. It's a place for you to receive higher learning, and at a public university, it tends to be cheaper and more inclusive in my experience. Another advantage for Montana State is the acceptance rate. 83% is a really high number, and that's good, especially for those who maybe had a class or two in high school that they struggled with, or maybe didn't do so well on one test. That won't affect you too much here. The student to faculty ratio, as well as the top degree being engineering, are also two big pluses. The smaller the ratio, the more hands-on your lessons can be, and the better quality the learning is. The fact that engineering is in such high esteem here shows the school must have the resources already dedicated to STEM studies at the school to support the College of Engineering, so everybody benefits. The last advantage I will put down from my personal view is that of location and scenery. So Bozeman is a small town, and there really isn't a lot to do, but Montana as a whole is indeed a beautiful state, and the school is surrounded by a lot of national parks and forests, and that's awesome in my opinion. Not everything is good, however, and I'm going to touch up on that next. So there are indeed some disadvantages that I saw. The first and foremost for me was cost. Being that we're from El Paso, Texas, anything not in the state of Texas, or in some cases some neighboring states like New Mexico, there are programs for that, but they don't apply here, so I won't get too much into them. Anything out of the state of Texas falls under out-of-state tuition rates, and those can jump up. So case in point, rather than paying $7,000 a year, you'd be paying $25,000 per year. After 4 years, that's already $100,000 you'd have to pay, and that's pretty insane. Again, this all depends on your financial situation. If you receive aid or scholarships, that'll help, and if it's really the school you want to go to, then you'll find a way. But there are definitely more affordable options out there, and trust me from experience, student loan debt is not something you want high. The next disadvantage is that of diversity, both ethnically and with gender. It's just not the most diverse school, and there's nothing per se wrong with that, but sometimes you want to be with people who are like one another, especially in a new and unknown place, and that might be harder to come by with those kinds of numbers. The next disadvantage that I took notice of was the 6-year graduation rate at 48.9%. That's lower than the national average, and while not completely bad, it could be better at other schools. Lastly, whereas location is a plus, it's also a minus here. Bozeman does not offer much in terms of city entertainment or things to do if you're not the nature type, and that's something to consider, especially when sometimes all you need is a break from school or work. It's also pretty far from home, which is something to think about if you ever needed help, for example, or if you're the type to get homesick. So overall, there is a lot to like and dislike about Montana State, but it all comes down to your views on it. If it's a school you're considering and you're on the fence about it, do some research, weigh the pros and cons are listed here, and think about it. At the end of the day, you want to pick the school that you'll be most happy at. The beauty of all of this is that you have time to think and decide right now, so make the most of it. Again, if any of you have any questions, please feel free to ask me or anyone else in the Gear Up program. We're always here to help, so until then, take care.